On July 10, 2025, President Donald Trump stunned the world by slapping a 35% tariff on all Canadian imports. This was no minor tweak, it was a direct hit at America's closest ally, with tariffs set to begin August 1st. Steel, aluminum and cars were already taxed heavily. Now everything from maple syrup to machinery was on the line. Trump's message: new deals or face economic pain. The White House warned other nations too. Tariffs could double for any country not willing to renegotiate. Global markets reeled and world leaders scrambled to respond. Trump justified the move by citing a $62 billion U.S. trade deficit with Canada and concerns over fentanyl at the border. But data showed less than 1% of seized fentanyl came from Canada, leading many to see this as pure negotiating leverage. Trump threatened to double tariffs if Canada retaliated, raising the stakes to 70%. The world braced for a trade war, but Canada's response was unexpected. While other countries rushed to react, Canada chose to wait. The world watched, wondering if patience could outmaneuver pressure. Would supply chains snap? Would allies fracture? The crisis was real, and the next move was Canada's. In the face of Trump's shockwave, Canada stood silent. All eyes turned to Ottawa. How would Prime Minister Mark Carney respond to Trump's tariffs? Many expected a fiery rebuttal or immediate retaliation. Instead, Carney issued a calm statement defending Canadian workers, but announced no new tariffs. He reaffirmed cooperation on shared issues but refused to escalate. This was a calculated move, delay as leverage. By staying silent, Canada injected uncertainty into U.S. markets and boardrooms. American companies relying on Canadian goods suddenly faced unknown costs and disruptions. The longer Canada waited, the more pressure mounted on U.S. businesses to push back against the tariffs. Carney's strategy relied on the deep economic ties between the two countries. A trade war would hurt both sides, but the pain in the U.S. could force Trump to reconsider. Instead of public confrontation, Canada let American business leaders do the talking. This quiet approach contrasted sharply with other nations' loud condemnations. Canada's silence was a reminder. Any action against its economy would have consequences for the U.S. too. The clock was ticking and the pressure was building on both sides. The US-Canada border is more than a line. It's a lifeline for one of the world's largest trading partnerships. In 2024, trade between the two nations hit $761.8 billion. Every day, billions in goods, cars, oil, produce cross seamlessly. Canada is America's top export market, buying more US goods than China, Japan, or Germany. For many US states, Canada is their #1 customer. The economies are deeply intertwined. Tariffs on Canada are, in effect, taxes on American exporters. Nowhere is this clearer than in manufacturing, especially autos. Car parts cross the border multiple times before final assembly. Tariffs disrupt this flow, raising costs for both Canadian and American industries. The Canadian government bet that these ties would outweigh political posturing. As Ottawa stayed silent, U.S. business groups like the Chamber of Commerce began to sound the alarm. They warned the White House these tariffs threaten American jobs and supply chains. Canada's silence amplified the voices of concern within the U.S. Tariffs aren't just numbers, they hit real people. In Ohio, a family construction business faces soaring costs for Canadian lumber and steel. The owner must choose absorb losses or raise prices and risk losing customers. In Wisconsin, a factory reliant on Canadian copper could see its production grind to a halt. Jobs for welders and machinists are suddenly at risk. On the Canadian side, a farmer in Ontario may lose access to U.S. markets, threatening their livelihood. Aluminum workers in British Columbia face layoffs as tariffs make their products unaffordable. The pain is shared. American and Canadian workers, businesses and families all feel the impact. Integrated supply chains, once a strength, become a vulnerability. Tariffs meant to protect end up hurting those they're supposed to help. A trade war turns ordinary people into collateral damage. The stakes are personal, not just political. The outcome of negotiations will shape lives on both sides of the border. As August 1st approaches, the US and Canada are locked in a tense standoff. Will Canada's silent strategy force Trump to back down or provoke him to escalate? If US business pressure grows, a compromise could emerge, perhaps more security cooperation in exchange for tariff relief. This would vindicate Carney's patient approach, showing that economic reality can trump political bluster. But there's risk. Trump could see silence as weakness and double down, triggering a full-blown trade war. Both economies would suffer: rising costs, lost jobs, broken supply chains. Carney's gamble could either avert disaster or deepen it. This standoff is a test of modern diplomacy. Is patience more powerful than provocation? The world watches as the deadline nears. Will quiet strategy win, or will confrontation rule the day? The answer will shape the future of North American trade. For now, the only certainty is uncertainty. What do you think? Brilliant move or dangerous risk?